welcome back to my channel. Today is the day 11 of our computer vision series. The link of the playlist is in the description below, so make sure to check out the entire playlist. Today we're going to make our very own face anonymizer, which is basically just going to blur your face, whether it's in an image, whether it's in a video, or whether it's in a webcam. So yes, this is a very good project. It's a very good beginner level project. We are purely going to use Python and OpenCV functions in it. We are not going to use any complex algorithms. We are going to use a few other libraries as well, but that is going to be all. First, I'm going to run this program and I'm going to show you what we are trying to achieve. So I'm going to open up my webcam in 1, 2, and 3, and here it is. So this is what we're trying to achieve, an anonymous face. So let's get started. But before starting writing the code, we need to make a few important installs. So if you guys have not installed OpenCV, you guys can do that. And if you guys have not installed MediaPipe, you have to install that as well, because we are going to use the MediaPipe library for our face detection. So you guys can copy this line and write it inside your terminal, and your installations will be complete. Now coming back to the main file. So as I told you, we are going to anonymize the face on an image, on a video, and on a webcam. But directly going to the webcam is not a good option. First, we are going to write the code, and first we are going to understand how we can anonymize a face on an image. Then once we are done with that code, we are just going to modify the same code for the video and then for the webcam. So first, we need to understand how to anonymize the image, and there are 4 major steps that we are going to follow in order to anonymize the image. The first one is to read the image from the computer. The second one is to detect the faces that are in the image. The third is to blur the images, the blur the faces, not the images. And the fourth step is to save the image back to your computer. Okay, so these are the 4 steps that we are going to follow. So let's first see the image that we are going to deal with. So the image that I have chosen for today's lecture is this of Ronaldo, because he has such a perfect face. And even though this is only one face inside a picture, right, this picture could have had multiple faces as well. My code would have detected and blurred all those faces as well. But for this tutorial, I have chosen a picture that has only one face, okay, for your ease, for the ease of understanding. Okay, so this is the image that I've chosen. So let's get started. I am just going to close this over here. So the first step is reading the image, and we know that if we want to read the image, we have to make first a few important imports, the OS library and the OpenCV, and then we have to read the image. To read the image, we first have to define the path of the image, and as the image is in the same directory as my file, I am just going to define that path. So it's going to be in day 11, and the name of my image is boy.jpg. Next, I have to use the OpenCV function to read that image. So I'm going to define the image path over here, and I will obviously save this image in a variable as well. So the first step is done. We are done with our first step. We are one step closer to detecting and anonymizing our faces. So let's go to the second step. So the second step is detecting the faces in our images. Now we are not going to write the code of detecting the faces from scratches, because that is not a good option, especially as a beginner, because we already have such pre-trained models that are good for detecting the faces. So we can just use them for our project, right? So this is what we're going to do. We're not going to write the code from scratch. We're just going to use a library for the face detection. And as I told you earlier, MediaPipe is a library that we're going to use for face detection. So let's just import that first. Import MediaPipe as MP. Okay, so now that we have imported the library, what we're going to do is we are going to create the object of that. So I'm going to call that as MP face detection. Okay, and I'm going to call mp.solutions.face detection. And now I am going to create its object. I'm going to call mp.faceDetection, and I'm going to call face detection over here. Now it has 2 parameters. I'm going to explain the parameters to you, so no worries. It's called as, the first one is called as model selection. So I'm going to keep the model selection as 0, and the second one is called as minimum detection or min detection confidence, and I'm going to keep the confidence as 0.5. okay, and I'm going to call this model as face detection. Okay, I wrote double E over here. Yeah, okay, I hope this font is okay. And over here I'm gonna write pass. All right, So let me just adjust the size first, and then I'm going to explain these parameters to you. Okay, that's too small. Okay, I think this size looks okay. So now I'm going to explain the parameters to you. So the first parameter that we have is the model selection, right? So I'm going to open up the documentation. So this is the model selection. The model selection can have only two values. It can have either 0 or 1. So 0 means that it can detect the faces that are within a short range, that are within 2 meters from the camera. Okay, and if I add 1 over here, if I write 1 over here, so it means that it can also detect faces that are within the range of 5 meters. Okay, so since in my image my face was very close to the camera, that is why I have chosen 0 as my model. So that is why I've written 0 in my model selection parameter. Now the second one over here is the confidence, minimum detection confidence, which is I have kept it as 0.5. Now this means if the model has a confidence value of 0.4, it's not that sure that whether it's a face or not, it's going to not detect that as a face. It's not going to consider that as a face. But if the confidence level is greater than 0.5, it's 90%, for example, it's 80%, that yes, it's a face, then only then it's going to detect that as a face. I can even increase it, I can make it as 0.7 as well. But for now, I'm going to keep it as 0.5, okay? So the next thing that we have to do is to process the image. Okay, so this face detection model works on the RGB images. Okay, it detects the faces only on the RGB images. But by default, my image is a BGR image. So the first thing that I have to do is to convert my image from BGR to RGB. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the OpenCV function convert color to convert my image from BGR to RGB. Yes. And now I'm going to process the image. I'm going to use my face detection model. See, I called it as face detection. So I'm going to use that model and I'm going to process my RGB image that I just created, and I am going to save this in output. Now what this is going to do is this is going to detect the faces for me, and it's going to save the result in output. And let's see what do we have in the output. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the out dot detections. I hope that's the right word. Okay, and let's see what we get when we do that. Okay, so we just have to wait. And yes, so it returned something to us, it returned a list to us. Okay, and these looks like the coordinates of the face, right? These looks like the x, the y axis of the top left corner of our image of the bounding box, right? And these are the width and height of the bounding box. So it has successfully detected our face. Since we only had one face in our image, that is why we only have one of the coordinates. Then over here we have some relative key points. We are not going to use these relative key points because these are of the landmarks of the face, and we are not concerned with that at this point. We are just concerned with the bounding box, right? So that bounding box is called as the relative bounding box. Okay, so it's the relative bounding box, it's not the absolute bounding box. And we can see that the score is 0.911. So the score over here means the confidence. So it is 91% confident that this is a face. So that is a good thing for us. Now what we're going to do is we will read these coordinates. Okay, since we want to detect the face, right? So we are going to just extract this information from this detection. So that is exactly what we are going to do. I am going to keep it like this, and let's move forward. I'm not going to print this out. I am going to say that because this is just for one face, right? If I have only one face, it will only have one of these lights. But if I have more than one faces, then I'll have more than one detections, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to iterate over it. I'm going to iterate over this list. I'm going to say for detection in these out dot detections, what you need to do is we need to extract out first the location data, because this relative bounding box is inside the location data, right? So first we will extract the location data, and then we will extract this bounding box. So to do that, we are going to create a variable and we are going to call it as location data, and inside it we are going to call detection dot location data. So this will extract the location data for us. But now from this location data, we have to extract this relative bounding box. Okay, so to do that, I am going to use my location data and I am going to call this relative bounding box. Okay, make sure to spell it right. Okay, and I'm going to save it in a variable. I'm going to call that as the box. Okay, b box. Okay, so now that I have gotten this bounding box, I have got all these four coordinates inside my bounding box. I will unwrap this bounding box in separate variables. Okay, so let's do that. To do that, what I'm going to do is I am going to create four variables. For the x-min, I'm going to create a variable called x, then for y-min, y, for width w, and for height it's going to be h. Okay, and I'm going to unwrap my bounding box in this way since it has x-min. Okay, so bounding box dot y-min, bounding box dot width, and then bounding box dot height. So this is just going to unwrap my bounding box. So the value of x min goes to x, the value of y min goes to y, the value of width goes to width, and the value of height goes to height. But there is one important thing that you need to understand that this is just going to give us the relative bounding box. It's not going to give us the absolute bounding box with respect to this image. So if I want to create a bounding box with respect to this image, what I want to do is I will take the height and the width of this image first, and then I'll multiply it with the values that I just got. Okay, so to do that, over here I have read the image, right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to take two parameters over here, height, width, and for the number of channels I'm just going to write underscore, and I am going to unwrap my shape over here. As we know that whenever we print the shape of an image, we first get the height, then the width, and then the number of channels. So it's important that first you write h, then w, and then underscore for the number of channels, because we are not even concerned with the number of channels. Okay, so what we are going to do over here, we are going to convert these relative positions into absolute positions, and to do that, what we are going to do is we are going to redefine them by multiplying this x value that we had with the width of the image. Okay, so we are going to repeat this process for all our coordinates. We are going to write y, but this time into height. Okay, and we're also going to repeat it for our width and for our height. So width into the capital W, and for the height we're going to say int, and over here comes the height into the capital H, which means the height of the image. So this was the relative bounding box coordinates, but now these are the coordinates of our image. Okay, these are the coordinates of the bounding box of the face on the image. Now let's visualize it and see. Let's try drawing the rectangle using these coordinates to see whether if it's working correctly or not. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my OpenCV function. It is called as rectangle, and first I'll pass the image on which I want to visualize my bounding box, so that is called as image. Then I'll pass two coordinates, first of the top left, which is going to be x comma y, and then I have to pass the coordinates of the bottom right corner of my rectangle, which is going to be x plus w comma y plus h. Okay, then I have to pass the color of my bounding box, which is going to be green, so I'm going to keep it as 0 to 55 to 55, and then I have to pass the thickness of my bounding box, so I'm going to keep that as 5, and let's visualize it to see whether we are getting the correct result or not. So to visualize it, I am going to use my OpenCV function, which is called as imshow. I'm going to call that as image img, and then I'm going to use my wait key. Okay, so let's see if it's working correctly or not. Okay, so we have correctly detected the face on the image, and we have successfully created a bounding box as well. So now we are done with the second step as well. We are done with detecting the faces on our image. But now we have to move on to the third step, which is blurring the face. Since we have detected the region of the face, we just have to blur this region, okay? And this is exactly what we are going to do. So what I'm going to do is I am going to comment this out, since we don't need to create a bounding box, right? We just needed to find the bounding box that has the face, but we did not have to create the bounding box, right? I just created that for your ease, so that you understand how this MediaPipe face detection model has detected the face for us, okay? So now let's move to the third step, which is blurring the face. So the blurring faces would also come over here, since we are going to do it in the same for loop, okay? So what we are going to do is, let's see how we can blur an image first, okay? So we can use the OpenCV function, which is called as blur. We have been using this blur function previously as well. And let's blur the image first and see what kind of result do we get. So first we have to pass the name of the image that we have to blur, and then we have to pass the intensity, or you can say the k size of the blur, okay? So if I say like 10 by 10, it's not going to be a very intense blur, okay? So we can see that. I'll save it in an image, and then I'm going to visualize the image, and let's see what happens. This is going to blur my entire image. Why? Because I have applied the blur on the entire image for now. I just wanted you guys to show you the blur if you guys have not watched that blurring video. So this is how it has blurred my image. But if I increase the value over here, if I increase the k size over here to 30 by 30, the blur is going to be more intense. So now I have put 30 by 30 over here, and we'll see what difference it makes. Okay, yes, so it has completely destroyed the pixels, right? So anybody who did not know what kind of an image it was, it will be impossible for that person to identify this person, right? So it's kind of like an anonymous image, but the only catch is this is anonymizing or blurring the entire image, and we just have to blur the faces. So this is exactly what we are going to do. So to do this, what we are going to do is, instead of blurring the entire image, we are just going to pass over here the coordinates of our face. Okay, so the coordinates of a face. First, we have to pass the height. So the height will go from y to y plus h, these coordinates. Okay, we are going to use these coordinates because these are the coordinates of our face. These are the coordinates of the bounding box of our face, right? Then we're going to write a comma, and then we are going to write our x values, the width value. So that is going to be x from x till x plus width, okay? And then all the channels, okay? Because we don't have to touch the third channel, okay? We will just deal with the first two channels, and these two are the values of our bounding box that is detecting a face. And then we'll copy this and we will paste it over here. So what we are doing over here is that we are blurring only the face, because over here, instead of passing the image, we have just passed the coordinates of the bounding box that were around the face, and we have replaced the original face. Over here we have again passed the coordinates of the face, right? So we are replacing the original face with the blurred face, okay? So now again I'm going to run this program, and you guys can see how it has blurred the face. Okay, image is not defined. Okay, I think I will run it again and it's going to work. Okay, Control S, and this should work. Okay, so it has successfully blurred only the face of the image, and that is exactly what we wanted, right? So that is absolutely amazing. But, and in fact, we are almost done with our face anonymizer for an image. The only step that's left is we don't want to visualize our image over here. What we want to do is we want to save our image back to the computer. So this is what we are going to do, and we have already talked about it as well. We are going to use our OpenCV function, which is called as imwrite, to write our image. So first we have to define the path where we want to write the image. So I want to write the image in the same path over here, okay? but instead of calling it as boy.jpg, I'm going to call it as output.jpg. And then I have to pass the image that I want to write. So I want to write this new image that I've just created. So I'm going to pass that image, and you will see what happens when I run this. So I will now get an output.jpg over here, and that output.jpg will have my blurred image. Okay, so yes, I got it, and as you can see, I have successfully anonymized my face. I've successfully detected my face, anonymized it, and then I have successfully saved it back to my computer. So this is a huge success for us. And now that we are done with the first step of anonymizing the image, we can simply write the same code by making just a few changes for anonymizing a video and for anonymizing the webcam on runtime. Okay, so let's first see the video that we are going to deal with. So this is the video, and I'll play it from the start. So this video, as you can see, has only one face, but even if this video had multiple faces, it would have worked for it as well. So my objective is to anonymize this face and then write the video back to the computer. So this is my objective over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few changes within my same code so that I can generalize it for the videos as well as for the webcams. Now, so to generalize my anonymization process, what I have to do is I will create a function that will contain all this image processing techniques, because these are the techniques that I want to repeat. But instead of doing that for an image, I have to repeat that for every frame of my video or every frame of my webcam. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create a function over here. I'm going to call that as process image, and this is going to accept two parameters, an image as well as a face detection model. Okay, now inside it, what I'm going to write is I am going to cut this entire thing, this entire image processing thing, from converting your image into an RGB image to blurring the face, and I am going to paste it over here. Once I've done that, I can even remove these lines if I want to, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to return an image from this function. So this function is going to return the blurred image to me. Okay, now to generalize this for an image, for a video, and for a webcam, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import something else as well. Now that is called as import argparse. Okay, so I'm going to import argparse over here, and I am going to create its object right over here. So I'm going to call that as args, and I'm going to call argparse.argument parser. It must be over here. And now that I've created the object of my argument parser, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few arguments. So the first argument that I'm going to add is the mode. Okay, now over here, mode means whether it's an image, whether it's a video, or whether it's a webcam. So by default, I'm going to keep that as an image for now. Okay, because we have already created the face anonymizer for an image, right? And now that we are making a few changes in it, so we have to see whether it still works for the image or not. I'm going to add another argument over here as well, and that argument will be called as the file path. Okay, so I'm going to call it as file path. P will be capital, and then by default I will write the path of my image. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I can, okay, this was my image path, right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to copy this line and I'm going to paste it over here, because this is the path of my image. So I now don't need this image path variable because I'm directly passing my path over here. Okay, I don't need a separate variable to do that. So these are the two arguments that I have. What I'm going to do is I am going to write another statement over here, which is args dot parse args. Okay, now that I have done this, now that I've created this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back inside my model in which I have to process the image, or in which I have to detect the image. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to use my arguments in order to see whether it's an image or not. Because if the mode is an image, only then I am going to process that image. If it's a video, the processing will obviously be a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm using an if condition over here. I'm going to say if the args dot mode in image, okay, if it's an image, then you need to read the image. Okay, you know what, this line won't come over here, this line will come over here at the top of our function. Why? Because we have to use the height and the width of the image over here, okay, inside the function. That is why it's important that you write this line over here. But now we are going to read the image over here, okay, because if it's an image, only then we have to read that image. Okay, so I'm going to press tab, and that is perfect. Now instead of the image dot path, what I'm going to pass over here, I'm going to pass args dot file path, because this is the other argument that we have two arguments, right? We have args dot mode and we have args dot file path. So now I don't have to dynamically write the path, I can just call that function over here. Once I have read the image successfully, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call process image on that image. Okay, so and this is going to return an image to me, so I'm going to save that in the image, and I am going to call the process image on it, and inside it I have to pass two parameters, the image name and the model name, the phase detection model name. So the phase detection model name is obviously called as the phase detection. So this is what I'm going to do, and then obviously after reading the image I have to save the image as well. So I'm going to save the image right over here inside my if condition, and that is all. Okay, now I think I have successfully made all the changes, and now I am going to delete this output.jpg and I am going to run it again and see if I'm getting the same result as before or not, because now I have modularized the processing, I have created a function. So let's see if I'm getting the same output or not. Okay, so yes, we are getting the output.jpg, and as we can see, output.jpg is exactly the same as we had before. Now let's make the exact same thing for the video. Okay, now that we have generalized everything, we can start writing the code for the video. Okay, so if the mode is a video, obviously we will write video over here, and instead of the path for the image, we are going to pass the path for the video, and the path for the video is called as girl.mp4. So we are going to pass girl.mp4 over here. Okay, so we have successfully changed the arguments. Now we'll come inside our object detection object thing, and we're going to say if args.mode in image, then do this, but else if the args.mode is in the video, do something else. Now what do we do over here? The first step that we have to do is obviously to read the video. So that is what we're going to do. Reading an image means video is equal to use the OpenCV function, which is called as capture video capture, and pass the path of the video. So to do that, we are going to use args.filepath again. Then the next step is to read the frame from the video, and to read the frame from the video, I am going to call it as ret frame is equal to video.read. That's how you read a frame. So once you have read the frame, I am going to start my loop. Okay, that is how you read the frames of the video. While read, the first thing that I'll do is to process that frame. Okay, just like I processed my image, I'm going to process my frame, but instead of writing an image over here, I'm going to write frame over here, because I want to process that frame. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to again read the next frame. Now this is going to read the video for us, and it's going to blur the faces on the video for us. But now let's write this video back to the computer. To write the video back to the computer, we are going to use the OpenCV function, which is called as the video writer. So I'm going to write video writer over here, and first I have to write the path where I want to write the video. So I'm going to write the video in the same directory in which I'm outputting my image. So I am going to pass this over here, but instead of calling it as output.jpg, I'm going to call it as output.mp4. So I have to change the format, right? Then I have to pass another parameter, which is basically just the format. So I'm just going to quickly write that out. Now I have to pass the frames per second. So for now, I'm gonna hard code the frames per second. I'm gonna write that as 25 so that I get a smooth video. And then I have to write the frame size. Now the frame size is going to be the size of my image, right? The width and then the height of my image or height of my frame. So since I already have frame over here, so what I can do is I can read the width and the height of the frame using the shape of it. Okay, so on the first index will be our width, and on the 0th index will be our height. So I'm gonna read the width and the height by this. Okay, now that I have created a variable for outputting my video, I'm going to call that as output video. I will write the video, I will write the frame over here. So I'm going to call that method over here. Since I've created the object, I'm going to use the write method over here to write the frame back to the video. Now you have to make sure that you have to write this line over here. Okay, once the frame has been processed, after that you're going to write the frame in the video, right? Because if you write this line after this, then it's going to output the original frame. It's just going to read the frame and it's just going to output or write the original frame. But since we want to output the blurred frame, since we want to output the anonymous face video, that is why we are going to write the frame after we have processed that frame. So that is it. What I'm going to do is I am going to release the resources in the end. So I'm going to call release over here, and let's see if it's working. Okay, it's not recognizing video, although it should. Okay, what I'm going to do is, oops. Okay, so it was a problem of indentation. So now, since there are no errors in the code, let's run this code and see if it's working perfectly. I should get an output.mp4 over here. So there are no errors in the code. Okay. I missed something. You have to write this parameter, the size of the frame inside the brackets. Yeah, so width comma height. That is a false on my part. So let's run it again and see if we get the correct output. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, so we're just gonna wait. And yeah, no errors. And this was the original video, right? And this is my output.mp4. And as you can see, it has successfully anonymized the face in the video. Okay, I'll run it again and you can see. Now you can see that we have successfully anonymized the image and we have successfully anonymized the video as well. Now just the last step is left. We just have to anonymize the face on a webcam as well. And as you know, it's also very easy to do it since we have already generalized everything. So what we're going to do is we are first going to change the mode. We are going to change it to webcam, and then we have to change the path as well. Since the webcam has no path, so I'm going to write none over here. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to write else if the args dot mode is in webcam. Now what I have to do, so the first thing is to read the webcam, obviously. So I'm going to use the OpenCV function to read the webcam. I'm going to call it as webcam cv2 dot video capture, that's what it's called. And then I have to tell which webcam I have to read from. Since I only have one webcam, I'm going to write 0, but it totally depends upon the webcam that you have. The next step is to read the frame from the webcam. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the read method to read the frames. Then comes the while true loop. It's going to be an infinite loop. Why? Because there is no end to the number of frames that inside your webcam. Then I have to process my frames. So I'm just going to copy this line from here and I'm going to paste it over here. So once I have processed the frame, what I'm going to do is I will again read the next frame. So to do that, I'm going to use this one over here and I'm going to paste it over here. But instead of video, obviously I'm going to write webcam over here. Okay, so I'm not going to write the webcam somewhere, but obviously I'm going to visualize the webcam. So to do that, I'm going to use the OpenCV function again. It's going to be called as imshow. I will call that as webcam, or I can call it as frame as well. That's totally up to me. So I'm going to call it as webcam and I'm going to visualize my frame. Then I'm going to write the wait key. Okay, so I have done writing this as well. I am just going to release the resources in the end and I think we are good to go. Now that there are no errors, let's run this and see if we get an anonymous face on a webcam or not. Okay, so the webcam is also successfully working and it has successfully anonymized my face as well. So that was all for today. And congratulations, guys, you have made your very own face anonymizer that works on images, that works on videos, as well as for the webcam. It might be a little too much to grasp, but if you do it step by step, then I promise it's gonna be very easy for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I know it was a long one, but stay tuned for the next one, and bye bye.